And welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast.
What is up, guys? 44 has finally finale'd. Uh, try to be more clever with that, but that's just anywho. Botched that. I'm so sorry. But we watched it last night, separately. I went to another viewing party, and I'll admit it wasn't the best one I've been to. I had to go into a different room because the one room that I was in, no one was paying respect to the screen while it was on, even though that's what they're here for. And we're talking some of the guests, some of the people that paid like $30+ to be there.
Yep.
I digress. But I got to talk to Adam Klein, Sugar, both of them, Joe's favorites, Max Dawson. Lauren Beck. Yeah, like I'd say those were the four I like talked to a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was a blast. But yeah, this finale was a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be going in, TBH.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought it was a pretty good episode. I do think it was a pretty straightforward like final five vote, which I think is now going to be an interesting conversation because this entire new era, I think, has had just the most straightforward final five votes like in the history of Survivor. It feels like every time that they go in there, the person who is going to go home comes in and says, "I'm going home."
Yeah,
And then they just talk about how great this person's story is and how great of a person they are, and then they go home. And obviously Survivor can't just like straight up do that. They try to have like, ooh, maybe there's going to be something else because
yeah,
they kind of try to do something, but the win immediately gets like sucked out of the sails the second that person opens their mouth because they just lay it all on the table.
yeah. I mean, like Lauren has had some. Granted, she was under edited, but like obviously when we got to see her backstory and everything, that was a pretty strong emotional moment. And she had another one when it came to her elimination. Uh, I do feel like it was a wee bit up in the air up until that point, but when they were saying Lauren, like it just made sense.
Yeah, I think Carolyn was still probably in like the tossing it up, maybe in her mind. And the second Lauren said, I don't know, I think that just immediately made Carolyn realize, well, I'm not voting with you now if you don't even think that was a possible plan.
Yeah, like when he chose when Carson won and chose Jam Jam, I'm like, whoever you take at 5, especially when you just won immunity, and especially because we got to start off with when they went to the new beach, there was an advantage hidden,
Mhm.
and everyone was searching and searching and searching for it, and no one found it. But that was like a big thing. And then like when we came back from the commercial break after Jam Jam was chosen by Carson to, have all the food. It is one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, that gives the three women an opportunity to find the advantage. Not saying they'd even work together, just more so like you give those three, two of which are targets for you, the opportunity, a 2 and 3 shot to find something.
Mhm.
You know, that was like risky. I understand like Carson and Jam Jam were pretty tight, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you know, but Jeff Probst confirmed last week that that was a hidden immunity idol that
Yeah.
was hidden. So yeah, if Lauren did manage to find it and play it at Final Five there, we're looking at a revote on Jam Jam or Heidi, uh,
Yeah.
in which that would be interesting because clearly, obviously, Carolyn and Carson would be kind of the ones making probably the decision. Like Lauren can vote for whoever, but the two of them would end up deciding.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting. Do they then get rid of Jam Jam, or would they have kept Tika Strong still at 5 at that point? So yeah, nah, but nope. All that's look at this for the idol does not matter. There is no word puzzle that they had done in the previous ones,
Yeah,
to figure it out. It was just a straight up, uh, it's out there, find it or don't find it.
which I do find interesting. Uh, that there wasn't like a thing like that. They did also hint. They did hide it up in the tree, in the branches and stuff. I
Yeah.
know, like these days, they've been very either blatantly obvious with it, or it's like something like very hard to find, like whether it's in the crevice, whether it's like just blending into the tree where you won't be able to like see it if you're quickly glancing around for it.
Yeah, I don't even think we get a lot of those anymore, to be honest. I think we're usually getting look at like waist height around the path to the water.
Yeah,
Like it feels like that area is where idols are being hidden now. So yeah, I think this was definitely one of the more well hidden ones. Like I could see, people not necessarily looking up into a top branch of a tree
yeah,
to look for it.
yeah. Which at that point, it's like you kind of have to keep looking. Like, think out. If you go on Survivor, look everywhere,
Yep.
up, below, forward, um,
Yeah. Yeah,
in
I
the
think
ocean.
it's because we've been well conditioned by recent Survivor. They've told us that you don't need to be a good idol finder anymore. You just kind of need to look around close to you, and there's a good chance you're going to find it. So I think a lot of modern Survivor players are going in now thinking that's what you got to do because we've seen it for now at least 10 plus seasons of just straight that of them just easily letting it be found. But now, yeah, we at least got to see something a little different. Hopefully, all idols are harder to find. So I don't think an
Yeah,
idol should be easy to find because if you make an idol very easy to find, it'll be easy to find for less skilled players.
anyone.
Yeah, and you don't want someone who isn't that good at the game finding an idol accidentally because good chance they're not going to use it very effectively. It's going to be a more boring way. Whereas if you let someone who is like Tony Blocko, Russell Hands, like someone who is like I want to like try and play as hard as I can, you want those people finding those idols because they're the
Yeah,
ones that are actually going to use it in an effective way.
I agree. I agree. Um, yeah. But that being said, so no idol play.
Mhm.
Both of the idols were kind of used up in the last episode. That didn't really benefit either person. And like Carolyn did make the same defense you were saying, but at the same time, it's always that thing of like using the idol or not using the idol, and sometimes not using the idol is the stronger move. But I understand the logic. It's just I don't think it helps or hinders TBH, and it didn't in Final Tribal. It
Yeah,
felt
yeah. I think also though, the new rule in Survivor is that they take back all idols that you don't even use. So if you don't use it, or you get voted out of the game with an idol in your pocket, that's no longer yours. So now they've almost made it like very clear, like you just got to play it when you find your chance of using it, because otherwise we're just going to take it. You don't get anything out of it. Um,
that's true.
so I still stand by what I said last time. I know we had like a 30-minute discussion
A lengthy debate.
about whether it was good or bad. I still stand by the it's better to uh get 100% chance than a 90% chance at final seven.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
We saw. But
Yeah.
anywho, um, but yeah, the like I said, it was kind of a straightforward vote. It was still like a good one. Like, Lauren, well, yeah, like I liked Lauren. I feel like she was like underutilized this
Yeah.
season, especially for making it so far.
Yeah, I think
Um,
she was playing a way better game than the edit has let us know. Uh,
yeah,
and that's what I've heard from some of the people who got voted out was a lot of people thought other people who were getting voted out were playing great games up until that point.
but
Um,
when you give all the screen time to three
yeah,
people,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
gonna be that way.
yeah, exactly. I know Danny was praising Jamie for a lot of her game, actually, saying that he really thought that if she would get to the end, that her positivity alone would win the game. Um,
I mean, the thing is, it's like when it comes to these final tribal councils, it is something where endgame means a lot, and also like how well you're able to talk to the
Yeah.
crowd. Um, which we both got. I feel like all three, for all intents and purposes, were very good at it in their own way. Like
Mhm.
Heidi was able to show underdog and endgame, which her endgame was phenomenal. We're going to talk about the final four in a
Yeah.
bit, but like, her talking about that was phenomenal. Like Jam Jam, one of the best talkers in probably the history of Survivor, like
Yeah.
one of the best social characters you could possibly. I think he's, time has to pass, but I think he is the best social contestant, if not in the top five.
Yeah. Well, he does, by the way, crack a very prestigious list of players by getting over 80 confessionals by the end of the season. So,
That's
uh,
that's pretty impressive.
yeah, that's more confessionals than Tony's winners at War game, by the way.
That's insane. And then also rounding up Carolyn, who, in the same vein in some regards, was trying to would was being herself and being like, tugging at the heartstrings. Sometimes the heartstrings really can sway people. Like there were times when you would just see, I'd say Jamie, she's a very emotional person and very in tune with her emotions, empathetic. So like I thought, she was either going to vote for Heidi or Carolyn because like, both of them gave great emotional stories. And also one thing Carolyn had going for her too, Carson was really, hyping her up
Yeah.
like a lot.
Yeah. Well, I was saying that Carolyn needed the Tika members on the jury because I think that Tika members were the ones that could really like let people know, actually, guys, Carolyn was playing a good game.
Yeah.
Like they were the ones who most clearly could see it, I think. And so it really, yeah, if Jam Jam was also on the jury bench and you had Jam Jam and Carson, two of the most likable people hyping up Carolyn, we're probably seeing a 7-1 vote for Carolyn winning the game. But I was very surprised that we still got a 7-1. That this is now the fourth game in
In
a
a
row
row.
of a 7-1 vote, which tells me something is wrong. There is something mechanically wrong with how this modern game is currently being played.
It's a
Because
weird
it seems
it
like
looks
the entire jury collectively agrees who should win the game, and then one person who is allied to one of the people who's not winning the game gives them the votes to get them a second place. Because I'm pretty sure what happened with Danny. I was already thinking Danny was going to vote for Heidi actually going into this. Because Danny was it didn't seem like he was super close to Jam Jam, and it seemed like he was respecting Heidi's game way more than I think anyone else was doing it. So when I kind of went into the final tribal, I kind of said I thought it was going to be a 5-2-1 vote of 5 going to Jam Jam, 2 going to Carolyn, 1 going to Heidi. I thought we were going to get Franny and Max. I thought that the lover duo was going to vote for Carolyn because Franny was like talking so much up about how much she loved Carolyn. Like
yeah.
for like a good 2 or 3 episodes, it was Franny talking about how much she loved Carolyn. So I was like, okay, that's a clear one there. She goes to Ponderosa, maybe she ends up talking to Matt and matches. It's like, I'll vote for you with you, Franny. I love
Of
you.
course, yeah. Hashtag Manny.
Yeah, so that's what I thought was going to happen going into this final three, but yeah, I know it still just ended up being a 7-1 vote, which you know,
Which is weird because a few things that go on that. One, recently it came up in an article about what if they separated the jury, sequester each one of them. And they were like, no, that's way too expensive. And two, it's like, like that's not necessarily the issue because that's what Survivor has done in the past with Ponderosa. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily like an issue with Ponderosa. It's just something that has been happening recently for the past 4 seasons.
I think it's the shortened time. There, the Ponderosa is happening for such a short amount of time that you only get a few conversations with it.
That's
Those
that's a
few
strong
conversations become way more impactful than when you have those conversations and then a long time to like have people digest.
stew on it. Yeah,
Yeah. So you're
no,
getting,
that's a
I
good.
think, a lot more like just concentrated, like the talk is way more concentrated than it used to be.
I agree. I That's a pretty good point. But yeah. Um, all right, so we should backtrack that because like we need to talk about, you know, the final four
Mhm.
because like for me that was my favorite part of the episode because it was just so insane. Like first we got Samotion again,
Mhm.
which is such a, it's a Survivor staple, and this one was a lot of fun. And then Heidi ended up winning, and then that crushed the three Tika because like man, so many people, like they bonded so much, and I believe they wanted a Tika finale. It just,
Mhm.
Heidi won, and I was like, it was like a sad moment, and then she was like, "I'm thinking of giving it up," and this was my face for about until commercial break. I was like, up until commercial break, I was just so stunned by that move. I was like, "No, don't do that. What? Why?"
Yeah, wow, we had so different reactions to what she should have done there.
Well, because I was like, for me, no, no, it makes sense.
Mhm.
But what I see is like, Jam, at least I was going in with the narrative. Jam Jam was definitely going to win this, and
Mhm.
so therefore Heidi might get third or second place. And with that move, I don't think it garners enough votes. So you might as well, be safe going into the finale as opposed for giving it a chance. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier, 100% chance than 90% chance. Um, and then like I was stunned. And then we go into, and then we go into commercial with that like lingering question up
Yeah.
until tribal. But what was your reaction?
My reaction was, yeah, I think she needed, if she want, her whole story that she's been trying to tell is she's in it to win it. She's not here to get second or thirds. And the fact is, she did not play a good game up until this point, and she needed to do a Hail Mary. Now,
Yeah.
so I do think she should have put herself in. I don't think that you have to put yourself in nowadays if you win this final immunity because I think ever since Chris Underwood did it successfully, there's now almost been like a feeling for whoever wins this final immunity. If you're not like a guaranteed person to win, some people say you got to put yourself in there. I don't think that's necessarily the case. But if you're like clearly not going to win the game, I say you should do it. But I think what made it a little less like big was who she chose to go in against. Like I think that's to me was the criticism of this move more so than her putting herself in was the whole jury heard Carson's admitting he doesn't think he's that good at fire. So you're making this big move against someone who, like, sure, I think he's played a pretty good game and has win equity. But compared to like other people, it doesn't seem like it seems like the easier option to pull off the move than say
Yeah.
take out Jam Jam, who has the same strategic credit as Carson, but has also a much bigger social game and was saying that he's good at fire. Um,
Yeah.
I think it was a good move, but like 90% of the move that it could have been.
I agree. I feel like because when we saw everyone make fire, it looked like everyone except for Carson wasn't good at making fire. And I love that moment that Jam Jam and Carson had, where it was like it was outside a game. Starting to cheer up just thinking about. He was just like, no, I want to help him.
Yeah.
I want to give him the opportunity. And I feel like Heidi was great at that challenge, obviously setting a record for fastest time, which, that just goes to show like her end game. And I'm like, man, I don't know how, like, things just didn't go her way here, and then misplaying of like advantages, definitely. But I feel like that moment alone warrants her maybe a returnee season.
Yeah, it's possible. What I want to see is because she mentions about how she would talk strategy with her husband in this episode, and I don't know necessarily, but from how I've seen her on the season, is I don't know if she's the one to come up with the strategy moves, but I think she is piggybacking off of other people's strategic moves. So I would bet you that her husband was actually would be a great strategic player on the season. So I would love to see them come back for a Blood versus Water season.
That'd be
Um,
cool.
because I do think that if she had someone else who was with her who was more thinking like how the game is being played, because I think that was her flaw when she wasn't thinking how this game is necessarily being played. She was just like, here's something, I guess I'll do this, and wasn't actually thinking about ramifications. She just would go off and do it if someone said something. um so I think having her have someone who was actually more anchored into what is currently going on and can be the one to like guide her game, I think she would probably have a better chance of playing.
Yeah, I can see that. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and,
Also,
and also real quick, too bad for Gabler. He had the record for fire for one whole season.
yeah, that just went by.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it was. I was surprised because when she did win and Jeff dropped that thing, I was like, man, because the Gabler was like did it so
Yeah.
lickety split in the last one.
Yeah, I
I
think his
will.
was like 318 or 312, and Heidi did it in 302. So
Yeah, which sometimes those records they don't last long. Sometimes someone just nicks it from
yeah.
underneath you. I do say there's a few things about Carson specifically I want to mention.
Mhm.
First off, the man that 3D prints all the puzzles and stuff, he goes that far. We'll insert the Drake meme here. Uh, Getting your own flint and practicing fire. No.
Yeah. Well,
3D
remember he
printing puzzles.
he did say he did it and he could do it at home, but on the island, I think it was an anxiety thing. I think
Part
that
of it.
that was probably what was happening was, it became real. And the thing is with like puzzles, it's a lot like you just have to be like, bam, I got it.
Follow the thing.
Um,
Yeah.
but with making fire, there's a lot more like
Skill.
skill, physical side to it as well as being able to get enough magnesium onto it to correctly start it. And he did a good job. Like the fact
Oh
is
yeah.
he actually ended up getting the fire getting there. So if Heidi was like a normal, your average fire maker, I think Carson has a good chance of he would have won that. But
I
because she
agree.
ends up being the record holder, I think that kind of just did him in.
Yeah, and that's the second point I wanted to make, because for how they were hyping up and everything, like, he did build that base. He was able to get it going. Maybe if it was like Jam Jam or Carolyn, which both of them aces at fire. I would have loved to see Carolyn make fire. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I thought that would have been funny, especially she's like, yeah, I've been practicing for 5 years.
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah.
That was a
Also,
nice
it would have
little
been so emotional. Like her, imagine her having to face Carson or Jam Jam
oh
in
damn.
Fire. Like it would be emotional regardless of what happens, whether she wins or loses. It would have been. She would have been crying as the fire. Like she would have, her tears would have like dampened her fire and caused her to lose. Like that. That would have been.
That's a toughie. I can only
Yeah.
imagine. Um, but yeah, that was so it was a great fire making challenge, and I feel like it went. I feel like that was the highlight of this finale was that fire making and Heidi's like end game, or I wouldn't say end game. I feel end game is like starting at 5,
Yeah,
but like
I'd say six. I think six is usually when you're thinking about who am I sitting with this final
yeah,
group.
okay, yeah. But like the final move, she made was so strong that like it just leaves like a lasting, it's literally right now historic until 45 happens and someone just strikes it and then it just goes into a puff of flame right then and there,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
3 minutes and 2 seconds. That's insane.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, because that rope is usually like it takes a bit to get through, but it felt like there was a few like threads that went off, and then just suddenly there was like one
Wow,
big burst, and then bam, it just went.
man, yeah.
Yeah,
um
but I mean, I think this is also just goes to show fire making does not win you the game.
no,
So no one should go out there and say, "I'm going to make my big move at Final Four," because if you are in a situation where it's like a Dom and Wendell, where you guys are so close, yes, fire making is then could be a deciding factor if it's that close. But when it's not that close and it's like clear between that you're going to lose to at least two other people at the ends,
yeah,
yeah, it doesn't matter if you win fire. Like you're just playing for getting yourself to the ends.
it's a way to secure yourself into the final three
Yeah,
because Jeff said it in the episode. It's like, winning the challenge secures your spot. There are 3 conditions to make it to the, going from 4 to 3: winning immunity, getting granted safety, or winning the fire challenge. There are 3 ways to get to that, one point. And that's, and granted, Heidi, Chris Underwood, they did the one where it was like, nah, I'm going to take these people down. Um, but it's just a way to secure. Now it's like we talked about before. It's something where if you're in that position, it's better to know and to be really good at it than not know and not be good at it.
yeah.
You know, it's one of those things. But yeah, um, it's still made for great TV.
Yeah, it was definitely unfortunate for Carson though that the fact that the three people he was up against, we have been told that they were really good at fire for most of the season.
Yeah,
Like we had so much fire imagery this season, or like talking about fire. Because look back all the way at episode 1, Carson was trying to make the fire and he couldn't do it. He was struggling making fire on episode 1, and Jam Jam came in and said, "Here, let me help you with it." And
yeah,
he ends up doing the fire. In that same episode, Heidi was the one to make the fire for Soka. And then throughout the like last few episodes, everyone was talking about how Carolyn was so good at fire that she's like been doing it till she's like bleeding or something. Like it's like yeah. So I think now if you go out there and you aren't super confident in your fire making skills, look at other fire makers like and see everyone's fire making skill and make sure they're not sitting with you at the final four.
yeah. I mean, that's another thing to kind of consider once you get near the end. Well, then again, it really depends on what, like I said, it's one of those things to keep in mind. Will it make or break your game? No. If you win immunity, you may not have to worry about it. But it's like one of those things where it's like to always kind of bear in mind, thinking a few moves ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was I think sad that Carson goes out here, but I had predicted it. We had done our predictions on the community tab. Most people agreed mine was the better one, which
Yeah.
uh ends up kind of being the case. I just had Carolyn and Heidi switch. So this is
And I
only
think people who watch the channel know never to go with my prediction.
yeah.
Look what my name is still. It's going to change in the next episode, but I've been considering for 45 just as we're going, drawing names out of a hat.
Yeah, hey, you got to do what I did with the Gabriel thing. I literally just said, I'm going to not do, I'm not going to follow my instincts. I'm going to choose the people who I think, why the heck would you let these people get to the end? Or
It's
if they got to the end,
pull a
there's no way they win.
just pull a George Costanza where it's like every decision I made was wrong in my life, so I'm just going to do the opposite. I feel like that sometimes, and when it comes to my drafts, I feel like that might be the strategy next season.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Any other things from because I know we got confessional counts, we got MVP, LVP, but is there any like specific moments that kind of were like
Yeah, I
stuck
was
in?
really confused on why Jeff was confused or asking about Carolyn being emotional. And when she walked up to us emotion, I was like, Jeff, have you been watching the season? Carolyn cries if a breeze hits her the wrong way. Like,
Literally everyone cries. He
yeah,
even
yeah,
asked the jury, it was like, hey, who's like either in front of someone or like off on the side have cried?
yeah.
Even
Well,
even
this
Macho Man Brandon was like, yeah, I shed a man tear.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was making me like think of 42 with Marianne. She was talked about on some motion at Final Four from Jeff, and I was just like, oh, are we getting is this a Marianne moment for Carolyn right here, you know?
A bit.
But yeah, no, I was just
Sorry
like
for the
I was
Dutching.
really just like, Jeff, come on. I mean, you have to have realized that Carolyn is just super emotional. That's like her character.
You literally knew that when you cast her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this was Samotion is a really cool one, I think. It's a fitting like final four thing where it's like a little bit of endurance, a little bit of like seeing how mentally sharp you are.
Yeah.
So yeah, it
Yeah.
was nice seeing that.
If I ever go out there and I make it to Final Four, I want to play some motion. Like that is the immunity challenge I actually want because I'm really good at hand-eye coordination. And this would be like right up my alley in terms of what I would want in like a final, like get to the end.
I feel like, yeah, I don't know what exactly my skill set would that be, but I feel like I'm good at like, I feel like it's the gamer reflexes that we have an advantage on. Or
Yeah.
for me, like being quick and saving my ass, like plot
Yeah.
armor.
Yeah, I'm also good with like timing, which is very important. I noticed when Carolyn was doing it, she had no awareness of timing. Uh,
Yeah,
there was literally one time where she was really close, and then she immediately dropped it again. I was like, "Well, there's no chance that you survive that one because they're like 2 seconds apart from each other now. Like you're not going to be able to catch and put it and catch again."
that's going to take 2 seconds travel time to take it to the top. And this
Yeah,
is everything goes right, which you
yeah,
don't want. Which you don't want that to be the case. You
yeah,
want
and
some wiggle room and things in case things go awry.
yeah, like if I could see if you're like, man, this is tough, and you're on like ball 4 or 5, and you think, okay, maybe I just need to just slightly survive longer. Maybe you just try to say, let me just get it there to like see if they're gonna mess up because I don't think I can go much further. But she was on
Four
this.
or
This was
five is
ball
just
two.
so
This was ball
crazy.
two. Like,
I mean, like, because when you're adding more balls,
yeah,
it's not as simple as a reset and then you can change the pace. You have to, and Jeff even commented on it, you have to make the adjustments as you're adding balls. So it's like, finding the new pacing, the new rhythm of it, because the best way to do this challenge is finding that rhythm, whether it's a bump, bump, or when it's two balls, bump, bump, or
yeah,
if it's three, bump, bump, bump. And basically, being able to keep that rhythm
yeah.
is key.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed also Carson. There was a few times where the ball shot out of the thing and then he caught it before it dropped. He did a
Yeah.
few of those instead of like just stopping it, where a lot of people will just kind of like put their hand there and hit it and then it stops. But he was catching it as it was dropping.
Oh, that's smart. One way to practice that. So when I was dry cleaning, they gave me a little gift bag because that was the first time at that location.
Mhm.
If this is related, I swear. They gave me a yo-yo. And for me, not playing with a yo-yo since I was in like elementary school, I was like, oh, let me try this out. And it's good for the like, catching of things. So like if you ever need to practice your catches,
Mhm.
buy a yo-yo. You don't have to 3D print some motion. Just get a yo-yo so you have that reflex
Yeah.
and grasp things in your hands in a fast rate.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like Samotion's probably one of the easy ones. Also, if anyone wants to make some stuff, I feel like you could find ways to make that at home. Some some metal. There's probably a metalsmith also you can ask who could literally just
How
recreate it
much
for
does
you.
that take? It's like
Yeah,
when people say that they make these things at home,
yeah,
or like it's like I do wonder like how much they invest for something. Like,
yeah,
if we're talking like the one where it's like the snake trail that
yeah,
Matthew said that he built. I'm like, I'm assuming he built it himself. But it's like I wonder like how much like wood, labor, and all that, what that all kind of equates to. Granted, labor doesn't necessarily matter if you're doing it yourself because you're not paying yourself for the labor, but
yeah.
for the parts, the time commitment, and everything, what all goes into that.
Yeah.
I do
Well,
wonder.
I know that people who try out for like American Ninja Warrior, a lot of them make
The
like
warped wall.
they make all of the like
Yeah.
people see in their backyards. Like they end up having crazy like construction that's done for that. So and they're making way less money than someone who goes out there on Survivor and makes it halfway through the game.
Yeah. I was talking to someone at the event last night, and he was from the UK, but like he was currently residing in New Zealand.
Mhm.
And he was saying like UK Survivor, the payout is terrible.
Yeah.
Winner gets 25K.
Oh damn.
And I was like, does that mean American or, euros or pounds? And he was like, dollars. That's what it equates to. I'm like, that's that's terrible.
Yeah.
Going through all of that.
Yeah, that's kind of not even worth it, to be honest.
I mean, it's like, don't get me wrong. Like, if that was the options that were presented to me, like, yeah, why not? But
Uh,
like, that's a lot. Like $1 million, like when it comes to these big reality shows, I feel like 100 grand minimum. Maybe I think it also depends on the living situation. I
yeah.
think for a time RuPaul's was like 50K, which I feel like that, but you also get brand deals and stuff. So it's like something where there's a lot of benefits with that,
Mhm.
especially because like also for RuPaul's drag race, that's that whole circuit and whatnot. So all the exposure, whatnot, being a winner, that stuff really helps your career out so much. So they
Yeah.
can afford if it's a smaller prize pool than Big Brother or
Yeah.
Survivor or
That,
Amazing
that that's
Race.
like their career that they're trying to jump. Whereas Survivor is not a career necessarily that
Not necessarily.
you can become a full-time reality show contestant. That does happen where, you're doing all the other reality shows. I know Jason, for instance, he doesn't work an actual job. He just after every couple of years or so gets on a reality show now or just does a podcast. Like
Yeah.
that's all he has to do now. But a lot of people after the show will still go back to their regular jobs.
Yeah, especially if they're like an earlier boot or something. Especially since like right before I was leaving rehearsal and I was talking to someone because like we were like, oh, where are you going to? Oh, I'm heading to the Survivor watch party. She was like, Survivor's still going on? It's one of those things where Survivor's not as popular as it once was.
Yeah.
Some people are surprised that it's still going. Though I do think come this fall, and you are obviously already know, there is definitely going to be a huge resurgence in reality TV because of the writer strike and SAG-AFTRA following suit and also going on strike in a few weeks, actually. Um, just pay us.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
you're losing like the big wigs are going to lose like 2% of their profits. Like it's not like a crazy amount we're at. We're just wanting
a
just
living wage
yeah,
and
just
being
enough
treated
for
fairly.
like it's not just barely getting by, and then when the show gets canceled or something, then they're just screwed, and then they're working
Yeah.
at McDonald's the next day.
Like a friend of mine, she was telling me how a friend of hers is like her husband was on The Last of Us as Joel's brother.
Oh, really?
And he was talking about, I'm not trying to share someone's personal info. But like, was saying like how they, like he was struggling afterwards or different story. But like even the guy that played Oscar in The Office, like he kept his regular job because he didn't know how well The Office was going to do. So season one, he kept his job, and when season two, I think that's when he kind of started. He separated, but I remember that hearing that fact, and it's like it makes sense. You never know in this business, but
Yeah.
that does bring me to think of a couple things. Yes, that means the longer episodes. And if you guys didn't know at home, that's also why Big Brother is starting 1 month later, which that's going to be interesting. We're going to get a lot of reality TV come this fall. But like another thing, and I brought this up because of 46, because it's heavily rumored that it's going to be an all-star season.
Mhm.
And one idea I threw out to some Survivor fans out there is because of the writer's strike and all this stuff, would it behoove them? I like that word, behoove. Why I keep using it. To have Survivor take a page from Australian Survivor and have 24 contestants because you need to fill those time slots. You are already going transitioning to longer episodes. Why not get more episodes because reality TV isn't really affected by, the strikes and whatnot. And then have like a one crazy Survivor All-Star season where you get 24 instead of 18, which has kind of been their dynamic, or 20, and then show something that's never been seen before
Yeah.
on
Eh,
American.
yeah, obviously I'd be down for this. The only thing is, are they willing to do a 39-day season? Because if they're still hell bent on doing a 26-day season, I'd say we need less people. Not
Well, I
not
mean, Paramount Plus is clearly not going to be paying for shows for a while, so I'm sure that the shows that are reality are going to get like bigger budget.
Yeah, I mean that's what we'd hope, but also the viewership has declined for Survivor compared to where it used to be, and they could afford the 39 days. Now, I
Yeah,
I do wonder if they are just like, well, we can kind of still swing at 26 days. I know it
I
could be a better product with more, but we can still do it.
I feel like with everything that's happening in the world, what we're happening in the world of like, entertainment, that it could be something. Because like it's not going to happen yet, but AI cannot at this moment in time. I can see it happening.
Yep.
AI is not taking over reality TV at
Yeah.
least for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun fact, one of the places I used to work at as a comedy writer, are now currently switching to doing AI or writing their stuff.
It's like
They did not do great comedy or great scripts, and that's one of the reasons I don't work with them anymore. Is they wanted everything to be very basic and pretty much not good. So AI might work out great for them, but
a,
uh,
I hope it does. The thing is, it's like this is a mini tangent for you guys, but it is applicable in the sense of like reality TV getting a resurgence. But like it's like one of those things where it's like AI was supposed to take away jobs for the things that people didn't want to do so we could make art and whatnot. It
mhm,
sucks that a thing that is very clinical and stuff like that, AI isn't supposed to target that stuff. It's supposed to be programming and things like that. But no, it's targeting the people are using it for art and like taking the thing away from actors. Like I would not want to be successful because my image is getting all these acting roles and not me. I wouldn't feel like I earned any of it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
on
digress.
reality shows, they're currently casting for the new season of The Circle. So anyone out there who wants to be on The Circle, which I think is one of the other good reality shows currently airing, definitely go out there and audition because that one's hey, you get a spend like a week in Britain, like pretty great.
My God. But yeah. So it, to circle this all around, pun kind of intended. We will reality TV is going to be in a very interesting place in the upcoming year, up until like 2024 at this point, maybe even longer. It really depends on all this stuff. Um, because it also, like I said, these things are relevant right now. And it is relevant to Survivor because, like I said, options like that would have been totally crazy. While I still think, yes, that would involve Paramount investing more money into Survivor when it had they've already made budget cuts out the wazoo. Case in point, Sanctuary, no live reunion shows. I feel like it is something where more ideas might come out of it. They might even be like, hey, let's just do 3 seasons in 1 year, which I think that's insane. How would you even breathe? But
Yeah.
like, these are the things where, okay, how are things going to move forward, especially with entertainment? Because at the end of the day, we love entertainment, but we also have to respect the entertainers. But like for right now, it is going to be, a lot of reality stuff because of like everything going on right now when it comes to like shows.
Yeah. Yeah, but I am excited though for next season because they have hinted at the return of something glorious, something that we have wanted for so long to get brought back. You know what I'm talking about?
There's like 5 things I could name off right off the top of my head.
Well,
So
to me, it's the biggest thing. It's the thing I care so much about that they took away from us, and that's the Survivor auction.
yes, that
Yeah,
was my first thought.
yeah,
That was always fun. Um, Now that they have the screen time and stuff, now they can do these things again, which once again never was an issue, but like now they're
I would
um
love for a 20-minute Survivor auction. Like give us like the bet, like really give us like as much stuff as you want. Because to me, like I was trying to explain this to one of my friends and he just didn't get it. And I was like, I know it's gonna be really hard to explain. Like it's just really fun to see the starving people like pay $500 for a PB and J.
yes.
It is so much fun. It's one of the times where everyone feels like they get character moments, even the people who you're not editing very well. It feels like they get a moment to have some really weird, fun thing that they get to like be able to say, "Hey, I remember this person for this."
Yeah.
And it's usually supposed to just be light and fun, but it just became so gamified over the last few times. Um,
Yeah.
definitely sucked some of the wind out of the sails. But right before they went out to film 45, Jeff had mentioned on his podcast, "Hey guys, how do we fix the Survivor auction?" He said that like 2 weeks before they went out to film.
So that's it. So
so,
that's a very
so
good.
yeah, so that was very intentional. They had probably already thought we're going to try this, but how like what do we need from the fans to make it work though? Uh,
Hint, hint,
yeah,
hint.
yeah, I bet you he's probably gonna promote his podcast on that episode and say, shout out to these people for sending in suggestions.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, the trailer for 45 played, and then I'm not gonna lie, I was just like scanning looking for Bruce because like I feel like his inclusion in it, one just being a nice thing just to happen. It's also like I feel like he's going to get a lot of fans going into this.
Yeah.
Um, I have been debating whether or not to make him my winner pick.
Yeah, I was thinking I'm way higher on him. Even if I didn't know that Bruce was getting medevac, I would have probably still been pretty low on him for this season. But I'm actually like now very high on him because I think that uh, because he was the known quantity before filming, I think that a lot of people reached out to him pre-game and said, "Hey, I'm on the season," and tried to get something. So he's going to almost come in with already some alliances. Already people are going to have been wanting to work with him. That
I
I
think
think he's at least guaranteed a merge.
you may go to hell if you vote him off pre-merge. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
one of those things where it's like you can't pull another Francesca.
yeah,
It's like this would be worse than a Francesca.
yeah.
This would be like you may just very well end up going to hell if you vote this man out. Episode
Now,
one.
this would be the saddest thing is if he gets injured on that first challenge on the
No,
marooning. He's,
no,
he
that.
starts
There's no
drowning in
way
the
that's gonna
water.
happen. There's no way that's gonna happen. And I'm
He's
not
like, I
even
can't
saying that.
swim.
I feel confident saying that, not even jinxing it, because like
Yeah.
there's no way in hell.
You're gonna be very like careful. Like I think if you injure yourself on Survivor, you are super careful every day from that moment onwards.
Hell, I would be super careful. Like the rest of I would be like if I was in 45, which as you guys know I'm not. Like even I would be a little scared to like kind of do stuff because
Yeah,
like oh, is this low? Is this too low? Do I need to dig that? Am I being? But then again, I'm a avid paranoid person,
yeah,
so
yeah. I don't think there's going to be a lot of diving headfirst into things. I think
yeah,
it's now going to be like a let me get as far down and then like scoot over.
yeah. So
So, but I
um,
am glad he's back. He is now the first new era returning player.
yeah,
Bruce has beaten Jam Jam, Carolyn, and Carson, Cody, Omer, Jesse in being the first new era returning player.
man. No, I'm excited to see him. Just kind of looking at the cast. The there wasn't really. I haven't like deep dived. It was, oh, that's cool. That's cool. Um, 'Cause it's hard to like really gauge from the pictures and whatnot. I like how there is a lady on there who is like a musician. She is a singer, stuff like that. And like since us artists have to stick together right now, I am rooting for her.
Yeah. There seemed like there was a few goofy guys also. I always like it when goofy guys go out
As
there
a
and
goofy gent yourself.
yeah, exactly. So I always root for them. That's why I was rooting a lot for Jam Jam also going into this. He was the goofy guy.
Poop in the ocean.
He is the Omer or Jesse that we wanted to see win those last couple of seasons, and we did get
Agreed.
that person to win now. So
Now that being said, because I was bringing this up at the Survivor party I was going to, the Matt theory.
yep, it was accurate. It Survivor change it. Don't do it again.
You can't. We were able to get away with it 3 times.
Yeah,
There's no way. We called your bluff on 4.
yeah.
We're not gonna appreciate it a 5th time.
Yeah, well, it's happened earlier than that. It's been happening every season since Survivor 35. From 35 onwards, whoever was talked to on the mat has won the game.
It's
Ben was talked to, Wendell was talked to, Nick was talked to, Chris Underwood was talked to, Tommy talked to, Tony talked to. They were all talked to.
so please, Survivor, don't.
Yeah,
We do. We don't want it an out of the blue person, but we still want it to be a bit of a surprise. We don't want to be like, oh, well, Jam Jam is going to win because of the mat theory, or oh, Bruce was talked to on the mat. So, well, I mean, like, I feel like it's just natural you do that.
Yeah.
Bruce would, so he's one of the people. That means like he's probably going to win if the other two map people are taken out. It's like, you know, it ruins the fun a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, when there's a very clear this is what Survivor is doing with the winner, it's just it's well like yeah, as you said, it ruins like the point of the season almost. Like now I'm going to go into 45 with the same expectation that this map area will hold up, hoping it gets broken, but I'm going to still probably make an early winner pick off of this math theory because they've just told us that
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
So before any footage from the season comes out, do the we have to do the draft and everything prior to that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, just cause.
yeah. Well,
Um,
I think even this season they gave us early footage of the mat of the three
they
people who
did.
talked
That
on the
was
mat.
they
So
did.
I think that we did our draft after that.
We may. Yeah, I didn't know about the Matt theory prior to that,
Yeah.
so I didn't know that going in, so therefore I couldn't use that.
Yeah,
But
same. I wasn't really. I knew that the people who talked on the mat were important to the season, or at least that's what they're trying to always convey. Occasionally there'll be someone they just really like who goes out early gets talked to on the mat, but for the most part they are usually the important people. It just normally we don't get three people. Normally we get like a couple people on each tribe, but they really only said these three people matter, and then in the first couple episodes, they basically said actually only Tika matters.
yeah. So by that Venn diagram, that visual aid, it's just between that little oval shape, you just see Jam Jam happy, smiling with his luscious beard.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think this win was kind of you could kind of see it coming from a mile away. It was just really just it was that Carolyn confessional at the start as important as the map theory. I think that
Yeah.
was the only thing that for me was really like was that as important, and it was.
I think
They just wanted to let us know that Carolyn's a great character, and
yeah,
we're probably going to see all three of the Tiga players play again.
I would be Survivor would be completely remiss, especially because all three of them were very well beloved.
Yeah,
Like, and I don't even think that's a thing of like them getting so much exposure either.
yeah,
People were genuinely so hyped about Carolyn. People really liked Carson. People really loved Jam Jam. Like, it wasn't my issue is not the three of them. It was like, why are they giving these three guys the,
yeah,
screen time? It was just more like spread the wealth. But
yeah,
like, if they were going to choose three, I feel like that was a pretty good three to give a lot of screen time to.
yeah. They were probably. I mean, yeah, I would say they are the most entertaining three on the season. So I could see in the editing bay as they're trying to edit the season together, and them just kind of realizing, wow, these three are great, and they make it to the final four. I mean, I guess we'll just give them a bunch of confessionals, and everyone else will be fighting for the scraps.
Yeah. Congrats once again for getting your winner pick. That means I'm due for one, right?
Yep, and we're gonna get this next one.
Yeah, you were supposed to do the the Anakin Padme meme where you just kind of look at me and I'm like, I'm supposed to get the next one, right? Um, I don't know.
No, I mean, honestly, we always trade
We
back.
kind of ping pong a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think when I win though, I like really win, and then when you win, you like just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think 43 is a perfect example of that.
Yeah,
Where like, it's just like your final three people were like just the biggest targets and everyone knew it. And then suddenly, woo, I got it. And by choosing one person over the other, I got Gabler, who was the person I was just given to at the end.
yeah,
Also, you know what's very sad?
What?
You had a disadvantage going into this too,
Yeah.
because you ended up with Bruce.
Yeah, I was
Unfortunately.
given the medevac at the start.
So like you had a disadvantage and still you only lost 3 people up until the finale. Like, good God.
Yeah. I don't know how that happened. It really was just like this season just like defied what I really expected on the season. Even though I drafted like it was because I did such a weird order for drafting that somehow yeah the Tika members end up controlling the game and somehow still targeted your players.
I will do the opposite.
uh,
Every decision I've ever made during a brand steal or draft has been wrong. So
yeah.
now I do the opposite.
Yeah.
You
uh,
guys know, as you guys know, because I love, Newman. Obviously, I brought him to Brad Steele.
yeah.
Clearly, I love Seinfeld. So, you know, I know I don't know when we're going to have something where it's applicable for him to go. I don't honestly think it'll be that long, just based on what kind of stuff we do. Um, but we already have three, or yeah, we have three in the works. Well, one is an all-star, so that doesn't necessarily count. We have three in the works, two of which we already have pretty much the cast for, and then I have a few ideas I'm gonna spit to Joe whenever I feel like it.
Yeah, I
But
mean, we can say the next brand seal will be Last Chance 4 because we are closing in on the end of Series 4.
Mhm.
So we're
Yeah,
going to have four full series of brand seals under our belt soon.
no, I'm excited. Like us doing the total drama one was so much fun
Yeah.
because it's been a while. We were talking about incorporating it still within our us doing the reviews,
Mhm.
but like time wise, I was too busy and I didn't feel I could do it. We were able to squeeze in a few, which I thought was pretty cool. But yeah, so we're gonna get those in, and I think you guys are gonna like what we cook up.
Yeah, we got some interesting ones coming up here. But let's do the last little few things here of the finale here. You want to know how everyone's these final five confessionals went out?
Of course,
Okay. So obviously Jam Jam comes out with the most confessionals. And he had 81 confessionals.
that's
Um,
chunky.
yeah, which
That's
is
a
an
healthy
average
portion.
of 6.23 an episode.
That is, for those of you who don't know, that is like up there. That's like
Yeah.
top 5 or top 10.
Yeah, it's an elite category of people that pretty much dominate a season.
Yeah,
Um, and then Carolyn gets second with 65 confessionals. So 16 less than Jam Jam. So still pretty good though. Average of 5 per episode. Uh, Next up, we got Carson, who had 59 confessionals, 4.54 per episode. Um, and then we had Heidi was next with 33 confessionals.
such a wide gap. 59 and then literally 26
Yeah,
less.
yeah,
And she had a very strong outing in the final episode too. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean that just goes to show.
Yeah, she had half of many confessionals as Carolyn, but still ended up in second place over her. Let that soak in real quick. And then obviously Lauren comes in with the least amount of confessionals with 30 confessionals.
Yeah. Yeah, straightforward. It just like cements everything we've talked to about up until this point.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I do want to add one more thing here to the confessional is the time because there is a new kind of metric that's being added into the confessional, which is time and how much time is given to confessionals, which is often more important because sometimes people can get 1 or 2 second confessionals, but like a bunch of them that don't really matter. And it might seem like you have a lot of confessionals, but really, it wasn't that important. Because in this though, Carolyn has the most time in her confessionals. She had a total of 19 minutes and 2 seconds of confessional time over the course of the season.
Yeah. And I will say, and I did mention this, confessional time, everyone has their own speech pattern.
Mhm.
Carolyn does, I don't want to, she does speak a bit slower. And compared to Jam Jam, Jam Jam is very quick and very fast talker.
Mhm.
Like he talks very, very fast, very, very direct. And like, that's just like his speech pattern. So
Mhm.
like I will say, like, keep bear that in mind. But confessional time, screen time is still confessional time, screen time is still something to bear in mind where she
Yeah.
did get that much.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, she is the leader of that one. And then Jam Jam had 15 minutes and 41 seconds for his confessional time. So still, it is definitely a drop down there. Carson had 13 minutes and 13 seconds for his confessional time. Uh, Heidi had 7 minutes and 32 seconds of her season confessional time, and Lauren had 6 minutes and 20 seconds for her confessional
Hmm.
time.
What about let's go a little further down. What about like some of the other notable ones? Like
Um,
Jamie and
yeah, so Jamie had 7 minutes and 45 seconds. Danny had 9 minutes and 39 seconds. So had a decent show in there. Franny, 7 minutes and 46 seconds. So she ended with a little more confessional time than Heidi, who makes it to the end. Let's see. Matt had 8 minutes and 45 seconds. So the first
talking about
word, yeah,
talking about frame.
he got all that time. Uh, Fun fact: Bruce had 3 seconds.
I understand why, but damn.
Yeah, yeah, he had two confessionals. So I remember, he had the like, let's go one, and then I think he had one
Yeah.
where he was like, I don't feel so good. That was his confessional. So.
No. But I
Uh,
mean, now he comes back. Now he comes back.
yeah. He's gonna look to try to break 3 second confessional time this next season.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
so yeah, I think that's pretty much it there for confessional time. Unless
all
you
right.
have
So
anyone else you want to know.
Kane.
Okay, Kane had 4 minutes and 33 seconds.
Ah, come on.
Uh,
Anywho. uh all right, so I'm gonna give MVP this episode to Heidi. If I'm looking at it, like obviously Jam Jam won and it was obvious, but like it's that final move that is going to stick with me. But I feel like that apart from it being finale, that's like a defining moment in Survivor. So I'm gonna give it to her.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to her too, mostly because I have given her a lot of hate because I think she played this game really badly for most of the game.
Yeah.
I don't think necessarily this was the perfect way that she could have done this, but yeah, I don't think necessarily Jam Jam, Carolyn, or Carson like did anything spectacularly like big. They kind of played pretty
Yeah.
standard how they needed to play this. Whereas Heidi at least tried to make a big move. So I'll give it to Heidi too.
LVP, I know I backed on her a lot in the beginning. I came around, guys. I came around. But I do feel like just based on everyone else had like had like a win in there. So I am going to give it to Carolyn. Yeah, she had personal growth, things like that, but her being the third place and also like, Carson at least won a challenge. Jam Jam won the game. Heidi won this, and then Lauren, I don't blame her. I just think her position was just bad going into this.
Yeah, I am giving the LVP to Lauren because I think her game was playable. I really think that she had options. Um, and by going into Final Tribal and saying I'm going home, I think whenever you do that, you go home. Like it's just that simple. And yeah, I think it would have been good for her game to take out Jam Jam there. I don't necessarily think she would have won the game had that move gone through, but I
Yeah.
think that at least it would have been a big move or at least a way to get move forward. But I think that she kind of just didn't want to take it. She just said, "I'm out, guys. I'm here.
Yeah.
Let me get my big speech and
Miami.
let the music
Miami
flow
speech.
as I go out." Yeah,
Miami.
yeah.
But
So
yeah.
so I'm gonna give it to Lauren.
All right. I think that wraps everything up. We talked about 45. We talked about this finale. Through talking about it, I do think that a race recently, I did place this right under 43. I don't think, I think 43, it's funny, 43, 44, and 41 are in that order right now. But
Mhm.
I think I might, depending on what's there, raise, like change things up a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard because I think that I liked the game more consistently in 43, but the ending I think was so like what the
Stronger.
heck that I think that that almost feels like it lowers it. Whereas this one
It
I felt like
does.
had a lot of inconsistencies, especially early on in terms of the gameplay and how the game was going, but
But
had
the,
the satisfying ending. So
yes,
it feels like I wish these seasons could like combine and make this ultimate season. It would have been like a top tier season if you took the consistency of 43, but then gave it the satisfying ending of 44.
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I'd say those are kind of like my final thoughts on everything. I do hope I feel like yes, the Tika members should come back. I'd like Lauren or Heidi to come back. I feel like there are obvious people to return from this one. Some may be a bit more of a stretch than others. Like, obviously the Tika three are like a guaranteed at some point they will.
Yeah.
But, for everyone else, it's like conditional in some regard, where it's
Yeah.
like, all right, we need to fill out the roster. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that in a like condescending way or that, but it's like, let's spread some love to, some other people from this season because we already used the
Yeah,
first
well,
three.
there are like survivor locks where it's like we got to get this kind of person for these kind of seasons, and I think the Tika three are people who would be like the survivor locks. Like if they said they wanted to be out there for the season, they're on, no questions asked.
Even
And
if they don't
other
fit into the
people,
theme.
yeah, they're gonna put them on there.
Yeah.
Whereas some other people are, I think, very dependent on having a theme that would work for them, or like a storyline that they think, oh, we need this person on because of this. Like I think Matt and Franny, I really do only want to see them make their next return in a Blood versus Water. I say the same for Heidi. I want to see her play now with
With
her
her
husband.
boot.
I think that that would be the best way to bring her back. Um, and then some of the other people are a lot more kind of like, uh, maybe, you
Bring
know,
back a
yeah, like I could see Lauren making the return. I could see her being on a game changers kind of
yeah.
season.
Canada
But
versus US. Bring back King.
yeah, that would be a fun season. Maybe once we get a few more Canada people, we could do that brand steal.
I mean, it stands to reason. I don't know who's confirmed for Challenge USA season two because they
Mhm.
even blur out the faces in the promo.
Yeah,
But
yeah, none
I
of
think,
that's been revealed.
yeah, I think 43 it might be the cutoff because I'm pretty sure they just filmed, or I don't know how that works, but like 43 may be the cutoff for that. But it'd be cool if we got, like someone from this season on there or in a future one.
Yeah, yeah, not sure, but honestly I like the challenge. I thought this challenge world championship was a lot of fun. I predicted, by the way, Danny to come in second place. Way back when I was like, he's not getting the winners at it, but he's making it to the end,
Yeah.
and he's usually always going to be placing very highly in it. And I was like, I see him as a runner up. Um, and I also predicted UK would end up winning.
I
So
mean, good on them. Like,
I will say
Jordan
though,
was actually at the party last night. He was wearing a big old cowboy hat. He was having a good time.
nice, nice. Yeah, I will say though, I did predict UK, but I thought that Troy, the guy from Australian Survivor, I thought he was UK because I had only watched one episode when I made my prediction. So I think when
Yeah,
we talked about it,
I
um,
like Troy.
yeah, I liked him too. I thought he was great. I was like, man, if I was out there, like he would be like the perfect teammate in my opinion.
Yeah.
He was actually
Um,
like way more like chill than I think some of the like like Jordan who ends up winning. I mean, I felt bad for Cat because
no, he after like being in the same room with him, he has big dick energy, and
yeah
he very big dick energy, and like I understand that can be intimidating.
yeah yeah. I mean, he's got that rivalry with Bananas. That's kind of
That
been
it
a thing
is.
for a while, and they both exude that energy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right.
Well, I think that does it for our finale talk here.
Yeah.
Where you did it, another season in the books that we have reviewed.
Yeah. Yeah. So we will see you guys in the next episode. Hopefully you stay around for our brand steals. We have some fun ones in the work.
Mhm.
And we got a summer. We got a summer where you know, who knows what other things might come up. Hopefully Total Drama will finally come to the US and maybe we can do a review on, season or the new season.
Mhm.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We got some goodies for you guys, and yeah.
Okay, yeah, that does it, and yeah, we will see you next week for another episode.
All right. Peace.